We got some good comments and questions all about the villages, but go birds! They're doing good this year. Let's go ahead and get started. Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Rusty Nelson and welcome to this YouTube channel. And I'll tell you why I got a big smile on my face if you haven't figured it out already. And on this channel, we talk a lot about retirement and the villages. Since I moved down to the villages, I've learned a lot and I kind of pass it along to you for good or for bad. But I think it's really important for people moving down there or wanting to move down there and people that already live down there to learn these things because it creates a better community. And not always pleasant, but I'm not going to be afraid to tackle some things, and we'll talk a little bit about that down the road. But to all the people that have subscribed, thank you so much for subscribing and hitting that like button. I really appreciate it. And here's why the smile. Last night, the Philadelphia Eagles played the Giants and actually opened up a can of whoop. I won't say it. On them and had a really good game. Not the important that they beat the Giants so bad, but the fact that going into trying to get into the Super Bowl, they're playing so well. So let's hope everybody stays safe on the team and keeps playing, eats a lot of cheesesteaks and scrapple and Taylor's pork roll and all that kind of happy stuff. Anyway, last week had a question and answer that seemed to spark a lot of interest, and I'll talk a little bit about that. Please know that this is not a political channel, and I'll just leave it at that. Although some things may skirt the whole concept, it's more about living in the villages and what is really true about living in the villages. And we're going to get started on that. We're going to talk about a bunch of other things and clear up some of that. We'll talk about the standards. How those things are enforced. Like, can you, a little bit about my theory on not necessarily the White Cross thing, but, you know, people that break the standards rules that, you know, that you signed in your deed when you came on board and came down to live in the villages. And I think it may change some people's views about the people that actually report them for breaking those rules. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started on some fun ones here really quick. There was a ton of questions that I've gotten. I'm so sorry I can't get to all of them, but let's just go ahead and get started on some. Here we go. Barry writes, did you buy a house and move down or vacation? So some big news. I am actually going to spend a lot more time down in the villages. Originally, I bought a house about 1.5 years ago from the taping of this. And this video that Barry writes about, I'll put a link up above and down below so you can watch it if you want, because I rented a house for a month, the month of April, before I purchased my house, kind of to see whether I liked it. I had done lifestyle before that, and then I thought it'd be a good idea if I bought a house, because I'll tell you what, you go down there for a week, you really don't get the feeling of the villages. So I rented a home. The home had a golf cart, which I think is really important when you first move down there. So you can kind of golf cart around and you get used to things, and just a great way to travel down there and meet people and learn about things. So Barry, I am actually going to spend my time down there. I became a Florida resident as of the 1st of January. So I kind of like that whole tax thing down there and the way things are set up in the government. So it's really kind of nice. Anyway, that's the answer to that question. Here we go again. Next one. Here's the question. And no funny comments. You guys are better than that in the villages. Brian writes, Rusty, question for your show. I have looked through the lists online about clubs and organizations in the villages and can't find any for naturism. Wasn't quite sure what that was until I read on. Are there any nudist groups in the villages? Now, I don't have any idea, to tell you the truth, and let's jump on. Let me show you really quick, in case you don't know, exactly how you can find out about groups in the villages, because this is kind of an important thing. Here we are on districtgov.org. Really important site. Probably any information you need on here, just go up to the top and search it and you'll probably find it. But to get to a list of the clubs, go to departments and then go down to recreation and you'll come to this page and then click on resident lifestyle over here on the left, clubs and contacts. You'll come to this page where you got to say you're not a robot. And you will open up to resident lifestyles, clubs, and contacts. Now, I don't want to belabor this because I have it on other things exactly how to go to do this. Hit Control F, and this will allow you to search and type in naturism. And Brian is right. There is absolutely nothing. But anyway, that's how you can look through all of these about 3,000 clubs. Let's get back up to just me. Now, here's the thing is, this is what the community is all about. If anybody knows anything about that, help Brian out and leave a message down below. And hopefully we'll have somebody that has some idea. I looked around the villages, actually here, well, you can look it up yourself, but there are nudist sites in and around the villages, but as far as I can tell, there's nothing in the villages. Now, for me personally, I'm not sure it's something I want to go to. But anyway, I wish you luck, Brian, and hopefully there is something. If not, you can call the Parks and Recreation and maybe they can help you out a little bit. Or look on Facebook, maybe. That might be where you'd find it. You have to understand that I'm not laughing at the last question. I'm laughing at because they're trying to think of myself in a nudist camp looking around at people that look just like me, nude. I have a hard enough time getting up in the morning and seeing myself nude anymore. Much less walking around seeing a bunch of people that look like me. But I wish you the best of luck, Brian. I hope there's something out there for you. And speaking of groups, if there's not a group, you can always start a group. And Una wrote, I would like to start off with a job club in the villages, so kindly suggest a suitable plan. Well, here's the thing is, let me bring this up. We go right back to the district website and you will find this. And this is the villages, and this comes under departments and then comes under recreation, the same thing that we were at before. And this is basically starting a club. And what they end up calling them is, if you take a look at this, a checklist to becoming a sanctioned resident lifestyle club in the villages. I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but there's a lot of restrictions on there. Like you can't be selling something, so you come in and you say, I want to start a club, and you start selling things. If you are a professional in a certain group, there's certain restrictions you have to deal with that. Renting a room, if you're going to do that, you have to do that. So there's a whole list of things in here that you can and cannot do, but they make it very simple. So anyway, I hope that helps you out. Go to districtgov.org, go to departments, recreation, and you'll find this. They kind of call it a volunteer group because you're not getting paid to do it. Anyway, that's it. Let's bang out another one. Lori writes, the hubby and I had rented a house through AIRbnb in the villages for a week between Christmas and New Year's Eve. Southwest Airlines had other plans for us, you and a lot of other people, and we lost that trip and the money. I'm really sorry to hear about that, Lori. Going forward, should we do a lifestyle stay or rent through AIRbnb? Which would give us a real feel of the life in the villages. Thanks and enjoy your videos. Well, I'm going to tell you what I did. I first came down and did a lifestyle. I would go back and look. I think it's like about my third or fourth video. I will put a link up above and down below, and I would strongly suggest you go look at that. I did a lifestyle, and then I rented for a month in April. But actually, by that time, I was kind of sure I was going to buy something because I got kind of a good feeling. The reason I would do a lifestyle first is let me say, first of all, I don't represent the villages in any way. I have no control over the villages. So things I'm going to tell you are just my personal experiences. That doesn't mean it's always going to be this way or it's going to stay the same way. Prices always change. You need to look those things up yourself. But I did the longest I could do a lifestyle. I think it was like a week or something like that. And when I came down, my mission was to do a lifestyle. And I made sure I ate out every night. I made sure everything, I was busy. I didn't stick to one thing. I went belly up to the bar a lot and I met people and shook their hands. And I'll tell you what, you sit there and you go up to the bars, the way it is in the villages, shake hands with somebody and you say, hey, I'm here on a lifestyle visit. I've got some questions for you. And you're going to find out the people in the villages are extremely helpful. They want to help you and have a good time. And by the end of the night, I was having a really good time. People bought me drinks and everything else. And I thought, oh my God, this is the greatest place in the world. The nice part about it is it's extremely, I can't say this enough, extremely low pressure. The salespeople and agents are told, do not high pressure these people when they come in. And they don't. I had actually heard a story, can't verify it, that somebody actually got fired because they just kept high pressuring, clients. They came in and they really don't have to. The houses sell themselves. If you come down, and I also found out that they were pretty flexible about having problems. So I actually had a problem and I said, look, I can't get down here. I have a family problem, blah, 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 so on and so on. And they actually moved it a couple of days. If they can do it, they'll really do it for you. I'm telling you, that saying the friendliest town around or whatever it is, hometown, is definitely true. You'll have a sales agent at your disposal. They'll be able to answer a whole bunch of questions for you. You will get, even if you play golf or you don't play golf, you get free rounds of golf. I think you still get a free movie, and they have other things you can do. If you want to find out something, just call them up. So I would highly suggest, if you can do it, do the lifestyle preview. It's not a sales thing. They're going to show you around. In fact, you don't even have to go out and look at a place. You can just come down there and visit. Don't think that it's a vacation though, because that's not really the way it's set up. You will get a golf cart while you're there. You'll get 2 bikes, but I would highly suggest you take a look at that video and see what you think and access the community, because you will have all the rights of somebody that lives there in the villages. And, if anybody else has any comments down in the comment section, please comment for Lori and her hubby. We sure want them to get down here and have a good time. Boom. Hope that helps. Let's get to the next one. Thanks for the comment, Lori, because a lot of people wonder that. Last Sunday, I did another question and answer. And I had 2 sections, and I'm going to hit on both of them. There's kind of can't get around it, because when you go on to the next week with these, there's a lot of comments regarding that. And one of them, although it was not intended to be political, was a little political, but we'll touch on that one. But the other one dealt with the community standards. In other words, things that people do. There are a lot of restrictions in the villages, and that's done so we can all live there. And I'm going to give you my opinion on this. And this is purely my opinion. Once again, I am not a real estate agent. You got to look at this yourself. I don't work for the villages. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a professional in any way, man. I'm just retired like you. So also, if anybody's got any constructive helping statements to put down in the comments, because a lot of people do read these. So Anthony wrote, Rusty, if buying a resale, can one also check online to ensure that any work done outside, landscaping, hardscaping, etc., was ARC approved? Once you buy a house, is it on you? Well, once again, I can't answer that for you. That's why you have a real estate agent. And if there's a problem, you have a home inspection done. But you may want to think about asking your agent about a disclosure statement saying that you want anything that was done to the property to be disclosed, that would take it out of something that needed to be approved. So pretty much anything that needed to be approved. Now, one of the big stories that I've heard through this type of thing is that in certain neighborhoods and, some of the smaller homes and larger homes, it depends on, to recap, it depends on what district you live in, because things that you don't need approval for in District 1, you definitely need approval for in District 13, where I live. There's absolutely no doubt about it. So you have to check individually. If you want to learn more about that, go back and watch the video that I did last week. I'll put a link to it. So it's really important that you have things disclosed. And in my humble opinion, which means nothing, like I always say, don't listen to me, is that if there was something that needed to be disclosed, it should be done in the disclosure statements, especially if they had it done. I have heard of horror stories where people moving into a neighborhood and they move into a house that has rocks in the front of it. They've taken out their turf and put in gravel, rocks, landscaping, whatever it may be, that all of a sudden they move in and a year later somebody complains about it and says, hey, that's not in compliance. Then all heck breaks loose. So you want to make sure that that is done beforehand. Now, I'm going to give you my own opinion on these things, and it's open for discussion. There seems to be a lot of confusion about whether, when somebody files a complaint, whether it's anonymous or not. This is the way it works. I called the review committee. Sorry, for some reason I'm getting texts all of a sudden. And they told me that except all of the districts, except for 5 at this time, because the board on 5 decided to make it so it wasn't anonymous. So the concept is the way it works in the villages is that if somebody is out of compliance, it is on, and it's part of the duty, I see it, for the resident that feels that it's out of compliance to complain about it. Now let's take a step back for a second, because I have my own opinion on this. Let's clear yourself of everything. And let's say we have a new area where everybody moves in. We got 100 people move into that. They all get this little booklet that says, these are the regulations to living in this neighborhood. Do you want to buy a home in this neighborhood? And all 100 people read it. They have to sign it. They understand that this is the procedure. Everything is out there, right? It is you should be doing that, or you should have an attorney do that. Explain it to you. Your real estate agent, if you have a problem with it, should not volunteer to explain every line of it, but you should ask that. I mean, you're buying a big chunk of money for this house. Now, everybody moves in. All 100 people move into that neighborhood and they go, this is great. I know if I move into this neighborhood that Joe is not going to put the Oscar Mayer Wiener truck in his front yard for display. I know that if I move into this district, say District 13, that lights are not going to be up over a month. And I'm relying for all of my neighbors and fellow neighbors that I moved in with to stay at this level. Now, for the person that all of a sudden decides, whether it's the white cross, the giant pink flamingo, or the Oscar Mayer Wiener truck in your front yard, all of a sudden, this person decides, I'm going to do it. And they put the white cross there. This has nothing to do with religion or the white cross or anything. This just has to do with the minimal side of it. Or they put a little ornament. Most districts in the villages do not allow ornaments to be out on the front yard. It's all out in plain language. To me, the person that does this is basically saying to their fellow, the other 99 people that have moved in and are in compliance and decided when they moved in there that this is the way they want to live, they basically said to their neighbors, you know what? I really don't care what you think. I don't care about my neighbors. I don't care about my fellow neighbors. I'm going to do whatever the heck I please. And they kind of give you one of these. I'm going to disguise it and say, I don't care. I really look at that person as being the person that kind of just said that to my neighbors and said, I really don't care about it. Now, I look at the person that reports it as kind of doing their duty in keeping the standards up in the neighborhood. And let me give you, they're all there. All of these rules are there for a reason. It's what makes the villages the villages. Let's say somebody has a little white cross or a star or something like that and puts it out there. And a lot of people drive by and they go, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal, right? But the next person comes and puts a swastika out there, or puts black power or white power or something like that. Now you have this problem and you've put the neighborhood into that area where they all start fighting with each other. Instead, you just got to say, you know what? You can't put one in your yard. You can't put a pelican in your yard. You can't put the Oscar Mayer wiener, because once you start one thing, then you got to open it up the door for everybody, and it becomes a big problem. So I don't know that you can step back and see that, but that's kind of my feeling, is the person that is going against the regulations or the things that they signed on for when they moved into the neighborhood, they're the ones that are at fault, and they're the ones that should be kind of, you shouldn't have done that, not the person that says, hey, you know what? You need to take the pelican out of your front yard or whatever. I hope everybody understands that. And to recap really quick, you need to go into, because every single district is different on what you can and can't do. Now, if your district wants to find a way to have that, star or cross or whatever put into the yard, you're opening up a big can of worms, but you can probably do it. Just the way District 5 said, we don't want to make our complaints anonymous. We want people to do it. Now, from my understanding, after talking to the standards folks, is that anytime you use, by law, you use your email to file a complaint, that becomes public knowledge. That's just the way it is. My understanding, I don't know if that's right, but that's what I was told. So if you want to do it anonymously, you can make a phone call, you can stop by and tell them, and they need to go out and research to start the process. Is this person not compliant? But do yourself a favor before you go up there, go do a little homework yourself, and you find out just by looking from the last video I showed you how to do it, whether they are in compliance. So enough of that. That's my opinion. And I look forward to everybody complying with what they agreed to when they moved into the neighborhood. Okay, I'm done with that. Let's go on to the next one, because it's even bigger and I got a bigger story to tell you that drives me a little bit crazy. All right, here we go. I'm going to make this real short and I'm not going to belabor it. And I'm going to get on to something else here real quick. But I'm going to put on my rally cap to get into this one. Now, this all came about the Trump parade thing. It's got nothing to do with politics, nothing to do with politics. It came about because I keep getting emails from people referencing the Trump parade. And usually I don't put them up here because they put something stupid right after that. And I absolutely refuse to show idiot comments on here where they kind of make people look bad or they curse at people or whatever. It's just not going to happen. I'm not going to put it up there. Anyway, somebody wrote that they wouldn't move here because of the political thing and some guy yelling white power. Well, the whole purpose of this segment was not politics. It was because the media takes that one little clip, white power, driving by in the golf cart, and they don't put it in context. They don't show what happened to the guy right before that. They don't show the crazy lady yelling and screaming at them. Now, I also got a comment that somebody said, well, you just sensationalized and made it clickbait when you put the thumbnail up there. Well, let me tell you right away that the thumbnail comes directly from the video. It deals directly with the subject and directly with the fact of all the media showed you was this little clip. And then right underneath it, I expanded on that in the title that is the media BSing us about the villages. For me, I hate it when they do that because this is not the villages that I live in. This is not my friends. These are not the people that I hang out with. They're not the people I know. So anyway, I got a bunch of comments about this, which is great because I like it when people participate and I really appreciate it. As long as I don't write something crazy. And Debbie wrote, and I feel this is just like the perfect one, along with a couple other ones. I'm glad you brought up politics, which I really didn't bring up politics, but I think she understands that. I have friends who don't live here, which was just the purpose of this, who think it's a very political place. Bingo. In the year and a half that we have been here, we haven't found that most people even bring up politics. Me either, Debbie. There are a few people that I'm aware of that have their opinions, yes. But really, it's very rarely brought up, and I agree with you 100%. We are here to live and enjoy life. A lot of the negative things in our world, being in the villages, are not part of our life here. No, it's not like the outside the bubble thing. We are not naive, though, okay? But we prefer to focus on living a full life and having fun. There's a time and a place for politics. Yes, I agree with you 100%. In addition, I have never heard, me either, Debbie, anything racist here. Never a word peeped. We have people of different races, people who are from other countries and religions. We love them all. Life is too short. Thanks, Rusty. Now, to me, that's exactly my opinion. That's what I've experienced. And that's my job on this channel, to explain that to you. And it's so important for the people that are thinking about coming here. You don't want to miss out on this place if it's a place that you want to move to because you think that there's some crazy people running around all over the place yelling stupid things. Now, the next one's from Ed, and this is a little bit shorter. What a fun video, putting people's actions into context. What a great idea. Being Hispanic, I don't get the whole diversity thing. People in the villages treat everyone well, no matter where they are from or what color their skin. I couldn't agree with you more, Ed. And then finally, I had a bunch of people. Now, let me tell you, I understand that YouTubers, a lot of YouTubers dealing with the villages won't tackle these things. Let me tell you, after I aired this, I got a bunch of people that unsubscribed. And that's okay, because that's not my job, is to pander to people, but more explain whether it's an uncomfortable subject or not, that if it's not the way the villages is, I'm going to let you know about it, especially if you don't live here. If you live here, you know that it's not true. Okay, first of day videos. Rusty, I always love your videos. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, especially this one. Well done in tackling the Trump hornet's nest. Your analysis that this is largely perpetuated by the national media is spot on. So many people have unfairly judged the villages solely by what they are shown or told by the national media. Yeah, that's definitely the truth. With that said, I certainly would like to see more videos by you and other YouTubers addressing these and other misconceptions. Instead of shying away from these controversial topics, I think it's better to attack them head on, like you did in this video. Yeah, well done, Rusty. Well, I agree with you 100%, and that's why I did it, because I think it's important. And plus that, I get tired of explaining that's not the way the villages is. We're not a bunch of horny old people running around getting STDs, yelling stupid political statements. If anybody out there that lives here disagrees with me, go ahead and tell me. That's it. I'm done with it. I hope you understand. It's a great place to live. You got to come down and experience yourself. Let's grab one more question. All right, getting down towards the end here. But this is a good question because a lot of people ask this question about Sawgrass. One, because it's close to the Turnpike, and two, because it's close to the market where they got bands and kind of louder music. They got pickleball courts and that type of thing. But anyway, first of all, let's take a look at the map, and I'll give you the general area where I live. Now, to make sure you know, this is the same map, and I highly suggest you use it if you're thinking about buying a house here. Even if you're not and you're trying to find a place, it's a great map. These maps are really detailed. You can find this on the villages. Like if you go to the sales map, it's a great resource to use, and I'll show you how I use it a lot. And so this is the area that I live in. And as you can see, it's fairly close. Look down on the bottom left is the Turnpike. And my home is about just shy of a mile away from the Turnpike area and about, I don't know, 600 feet, 700 feet from the pickleball courts and maybe about 300 yards from the stage area. And Molo writes, Rusty, now that the Sawgrass is up and running with the entertainment and everything, do you find, or do your neighbors feel like you are too close? Looks like a great area, but I'm wondering if it gets loud and crowded. I enjoy your videos. Happy holidays. Now, well, let me say, first of all, now that I'm going back down there in January, February, and March, which, as most people know, is kind of the crowded season, I'm going to let you know when I get down there. I promise I'll readdress this, so make sure you subscribe, and I will readdress this. In fact, I'll go out and do a little video of it. But for me, I noticed when I first moved in there, I went out to go pick up my paper at like 6:30 in the morning. I could just hear a little traffic. Now, you got to remember, it's really silent, but I could hear just a little bit of the traffic. When I sit on my back porch really late at night, I can hear a little bit of traffic too. I've asked Bob and Liz whether they can, and they say they live across the pond from me. They can hear just a little bit once in a while, but I'll tell you what, it really isn't bothersome to me at all. Now, I haven't listened for the music playing over there, but remember, all that music really stops at 9 o'clock at night. Regarding the pickleball, I have some rows of homes separating me from the pickleball courts, and there's a wall back there too. But if I listen really hard in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, I can hear the pickleballs. When I say hear, if somebody was talking to me, I couldn't hear them, but I can hear them faintly in the distance. I can hear if somebody's playing pickleball. So that's it, Molo. I really, God, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I really, it doesn't bother me at all, but try to remember, this is all depends exactly where you live. I'm sure you can hear more music sometimes, more noise. You know, if you live closer to the Turnpike or in front of an open area where sound can travel, you'd probably hear that. And it also depends on, it's all kind of relative. If you move from Center City, right in the middle of Brooklyn, you're used to sirens and all kinds of stuff going on. If you live out in the country, you're used to birds and crickets. So, and cows maybe. Anyway, that's it. I hope everybody understands that this is not political thing. So if you address anything political, it's probably not going to see the light of day, but I appreciate the statements anyway and the participation. Also, thank you so much for subscribing. Go Birds. I can't wait to see how this happens. It'll be really fun if they get to play the Cowboys again, or I hope it'll be fun anyway. I can't wait to get down there in February. So either I will see you at the villages or I will see you back here on YouTube. In any case, have a wonderful day and go Eagles. There we go.